Okay.
Yay.
Look at that technology. Thanks, Brian. Brian, since you're here, go for it. Do your thing, dog.
Okay. Well, the other day in our leadership huddle, we started talking about just what I think, and this is my humble opinion, what is coming. I think there's a wave of real estate that's going to hit at some point. And it's hard to predict when that is. Probably the spring of 24. That'd be my guess right now. Looking at some key indicators as far as employment, housing starts were down. I just heard on the radio coming in for last month, new housing starts. So with mortgage rates being what they are, we've got this pent up demand. This with a lot of sellers are sitting tight because they don't see any place that they want to go. They don't see any place they want to be, and they're also looking at the interest rates going, well, a buyer is probably not going to come buy my house at 7%, blah, blah, blah. I think what we need to be talking to people about is, yes, interest rates are a little bit high right now, but we always have the refi. We've always got that. But we also need to think about, right now, you can buy a house for 7% and you can probably underpay by 3 to 5%, possibly, depending on where you are. Even in a very busy market, busy neighborhood, you still can pay list price or very close to it to get the house. Yeah. But what's going to happen as soon as interest rates drop, every buyer and their brother is going to be off that wall and they're going to be buying houses. And I honestly think we're going to see multiple offer situations worse than what we saw 2 and 3 years ago during the pandemic.
I know.
It's going to be, as a buyer's agent, we're going to have to be to that point of, hey, if you see something on a website or on what I'm sending you through, Real Scout or WeChat or whatever, Zillow, MLS, you're going to have to text me and we're going to have to see it within 3 to 5 hours because there will be multiple offers this afternoon. That's the market that we're headed for. And so if we can get those buyers and start having those conversations, I think it's the time to do that. My coach from Buffini, we had a meeting last week, and he said that we should be having these conversations with all of our sphere. It's a perfect time to reach out to your past sphere and say, hey, have you guys thought about upgrading your house? Is your house working for you? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Okay, so let's look at how much equity you've got. Let's look at that situation. How much of this house can we turn into equity where you can go someplace that's better for your family? And let me run those numbers for you. This is busy work in a time in August. We're almost to August where it's slow. This is the time to be making those phone calls. I'm going to be making those phone calls.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming. Note-wise, inventory is approximately, this is from Forbes, inventory is approximately 46 below historical average dating back to 1999. The country ultimately needs 4.3 million more homes, according to Zillow.
Yeah.
Simply not enough homes for millions of people. Unless we address the shortage of smaller, more affordable starter type homes, we risk leaving families without a seat, and it will only get worse over time. Yet, with reportedly 90% of homeowners sitting on mortgage rates below 6, industry experts have a gloomy outlook on when inventory will eventually normalize.
But I think new construction is really helping with that because
Should.
But there's not enough houses.
there's not enough, but they're at least getting it to where an affordable first-time home buyer or
Agreed. If you get outside of Metroplex property.
Yeah.
And where you guys are.
Yeah.
But housing starts were down last month because, I don't know if you've seen some of the things that I've sent and shared around. Builders are trying to give it away right now, which means that they're not seeing buyers. So if you want to know what the market looks like in September, watch what the builders are doing right now. That stuff I sent you guys, that new community they're building.
Yeah.
Some of the builders are doing those build to rent neighborhoods. D.R. Horton's doing a bunch of those. They're building everything in the neighborhood, and they're planning on being the landlord.
I think LGI does that.
LGI does that.
Yeah.
Several of them.
So
Conversation. Let's go.
number one, I know America has been in a deficit for housing since the 1950s, so it doesn't seem like that's probably going to alleviate itself anytime soon. But what about the loan products? I mean, that are out there, which they may not even be available at this
There's talk.
juncture. But like the renovation, where I know just for a hot minute there were some lenders out there talking about even FHA being attached with some renovation costs or whatever a month. So is that something we should try to connect with now?
Sean has some of those products. Sean Russell, First United.
I think that as of right now, I mean, I can double check, but I think First Name Texas, where my brother works, is shutting a lot of those down.
Really? Well,
I mean, I'll ask, I know some of the products they were, like Landon, they're really curbing that, and their portfolio is like coming to a halt, but that may be just them. But I think that's why maybe we need to pair up with some lenders and really push those products, because there are people, I mean, that don't want to live out where we live.
Yeah.
They want to live here, and if they can purchase in, the up and coming.
Did you count the 114 out by Northwest High School? Because that's kind of where I live out in that area.
Parker County.
I live
Yes.
Wise County.
Why?
Yeah,
Wise.
I'm in Rome, so
Okay,
like,
yeah, Wise.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but all of 114 were Northwest High School. There's so many communities, and because the Metroplex is moving out, like it's
Yep.
all.
Yeah, natural's like north and west,
Yeah.
The former president of Fannie Mae is floating an idea for the FHA to do a 0% down loan program.
Wow.
I think no skin in the game for that.
That is something that they're discussing, but it's being floated 0% down
Yeah.
from FHA. If it goes, I mean, that'll get some people off
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
the wall.
I think the affordability, the rates are everything. I think it's the property tax thing. I think will help.
Yeah.
That's going to help. That should bring some relief in some way. But just like it's unreasonable to think about like to afford the median household price of like 400,000, 350 to 400. You have to be making comfortably. You have to be making $200,000 in income. Like that's not, the disparity there is so significant. I mean, the rates dropping down would be a huge help, but I think you're right. Like that's kind of the indicator of like, if you think about, there's a lot of people that are kind of out on the start line, just watching. And the longer the watch, there's people that will kind of fall away, but the more people, they lose their logic and they get emotional. And that's where we start to see those huge over ask offers and then people running really quickly and making not brash decisions, but like putting their, doing whatever they can to win that house because that pent up demand. They've sat for 2 years. They missed out on COVID stuff. And
Did y'all
They
see
didn't
that
renew.
where it talks about like now with this interest rate and getting it under list price, probably what your payment is versus when if you get the rates lower, but then you're in a multiple offer situation, so you're bumping it up. Like it's literally almost the same.
it's a net. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Honestly, I think you make money if you buy at 7% and just count on refund.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't unheard of 2 years ago for a $400,000 house to get a 440.
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's 10% over, and that's coming out of their pocket.
Yeah.
On top of what the mortgage is, because it wasn't going to appraise.
Yeah.
We had those issues. We had those conversations.
Yeah.
I
think I think a couple things, especially with this conversation too. Love to get y'all's thoughts, but like going back to what you're talking about. Okay, if we're thinking, hey, a spring next year, like that sort of thing, spring, summer, whatever, just being on guard of like, how do we prepare now so that we're capturing what's to come, right? Like, how do we have enough hooks in the water so that when people start to make those decisions, they're looking to you as a guide, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff in between. We talk a lot about systems and working on your sphere of influence and doing that kind of dirty work of sitting down, analyzing everyone in your sphere, how much equity you have, what they need to be thinking about, starting those conversations now in a slow month. That's a great thing. And then also being equipped with language to accurately describe where we're at on this thing, where we're at, where we're going, because now we've got a story for the past 4 years that so much attention has been brought into the real estate world, super low interest rates, all this chaos. So now you have to lean into that story, and you need to be a historian, and then helping people navigate what's to come and understand our current place in that. Because a statement like what you just made of, I think you make money right now by where we're at, and then refining down the line, means that we're kind of to use a nautical term, we're in a slack tide period where it's kind of the water's kind of sitting still. It's getting ready to go back out. Prices aren't necessarily stable. There's opportunity there, and interest rates are keeping the demand back, which creates value opportunity.
Right.
But you have to be versed in coaching people to think through that. And I think that's one of many approaches. But I think between getting your hooks in the water, doing that nurturing, that sphere of influence stuff today, so that you've been helping someone put their real estate plan together for the right time, whether that's 12 months, 18 months, 6 months, whatever it is, you're positioned well, and then sharpening up on how you're articulating the story and what's to come. I think those two things is like stuff that we need to be like grabbing onto.
And to piggyback on that, you guys are tired of me saying 100 Days to Greatness and Pathway to Mastery, but the things that we learn in 100 Days to Greatness and the things that I'm going to learn in Pathway to Mastery, because I'm taking it along with everybody else. The 100 Days to Greatness gives you the tools, it gives you the scripts, it gives you the language of starting these conversations. And that's why I'm harping on it so much, because it's so good, basic language of how to get these conversations started. But to get those conversations started, you have to know who your target audience is.
Yeah.
And this program helps you take people that you know and put them in one place, and then go through and categorize, who is this person? Will this person refer me? Is this somebody that I can talk to?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the conversations that 100 Days to Greatness gives you.
Yeah.
That's right.
End of commercial.
End of pitch. Tasha, what were you gonna say?
No, I literally started newly licensed in November, walked in December in a Remax and started repeating.
Yeah.
His systems are excellent.
What let's keep this conversation going, like online folks, like you guys here, like what are when you think about like what you're reading, what you're learning, like sharing thoughts, sharing ideas, like we're moving kind of quick today, but like what are you thinking? What's language you're using? What's stuff that you want to sharpen up on to be better positioned for the next year? And what's your pulse? What's your read on your clients and your sphere and people you're talking to?
Well, I 100% agree with him. I have no buyers right now, which is, I think I've shared with a lot.
Yeah.
It's the first time in like probably 4 or 5 years I haven't had a buyer.
Yeah.
So, and that's not lack of, me talking to people or putting it out there on social media or whatever, and educating people. But yeah, I think there's a real pause right now for sure. But that's what I was saying. If we could, I was trying to think as we were talking, a video or something we could do about, hey, even if you're on the fence right now, think about it this way. Even though the rates may be a little higher, there is opportunity to potentially get it for lower versus in who knows? We don't have a crystal ball. That's why I always tell people, like, what's going to happen? Like, I don't have a crystal ball. I can just read and kind of gauge what the experts in that field are saying about the forecast. But that's it. But versus potentially being in another situation where when rates do come down, that's going to be a frenzy. I said, so then you're going to be paying more with a lower rate, or versus now higher rate, maybe potentially lower.
I want to piggyback on what you just said. When you said those words, what I thought of was if you had a video of piranha attacking something and said, this is what's coming.
Yeah.
Do you want to be part of this? And then you have a video.
It's Shark Week.
And you have a short clip of you just showing somebody casually a house.
Yeah.
And say, this is what you can get this now, or this is what's coming. Which one do you want?
And maybe we talk to the lenders and say, hey, can you just kind of like estimate some numbers and
Yeah,
just
I
show
feel like
them.
a graphic would be helpful,
Yeah.
like you said, to show the differences, because I know a lot of people are very visual, and when they
I am.
see
Yeah.
the numbers of like, oh, okay, it is the same.
Or even
Maybe
if they
it's not so bad, because 7% might not, it's like when everyone was freaking out when the rates were 5%, it's like, oh, well, that was nothing compared to
7% now.
now, and that's just could continue.
Or even if they're not even comparing to purchasing because we don't, I mean, we can forecast what, but if it doesn't happen, whatever, or just refi in the spring if the
Yeah.
rates come down, you know.
And we're expecting, I mean, the Fed meets at 1, the announcement
Yeah.
comes at 1:00, so we've got 3 hours,
Yeah.
and they're gonna bump it another quarter point.
Yep.
It's going up.
Yeah, we're gonna be
I
hanging out
think,
7.
I actually just texted Taja. I think that what she was saying is going to be really key as well. Like partnering with lenders that have creative financing solutions is going to put us over the top. It's going to set us apart. It's going to be a value. Sorry, this puppy is very stir crazy since I've been sick. I think it's going to set us apart when it comes to being experts in our field, to be able to say, hey, we have these options, we have these opportunities. You know, will it maybe cost you a little bit more upfront? Yeah. Will it maybe, but it'll save you thousands in the long run, because even if you pay for a 2-1 buy down, you pay for a 1-1 buy down, and you're saving thousands of dollars in the first year, and then the rates do drop and you refinance, a lot of lenders are offering free refis. So like I know Sean is offering like no fee refis. I know lenders that are offering free refis, not no fees, not waived fees. Like they will refinance your home for free. And that alone has gotten my most analytical clients off the fence. Because it's a guarantee that like, okay, Holly's point, I'm getting my deal at a lower, I'm getting a better value on the home that I'm purchasing. And I've got this guarantee, assuming you're not financing with Colonial Mortgage, that they will, refinance for you in the future. So I think that's going to be a really big key kind of going into the fall and into next spring to say, hey, let's get you the best of both worlds. And I think that's a huge opportunity for all of us, and no matter what market we're in.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. I think in what that looks like, to do that takes, we can have guys in all day long, but unless you're taking ownership of those conversations, it's not going to stick.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's worth a call with your preferred lenders, getting coffee. They will light up when you say, hey, how the hell do I use you to get more deals done? They'll start giving you tools, and they can explain those things. I was along these lines. You're going to talk about the graphic. We sent out an email at the end. It was end of 2022 or start of 2023. That was comparing those costs. It was side by side. Here's boom, 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 and it was a 6-act framework. So if you're on our newsletter, you have that in your inbox. I'll try to dig it up. It'll take me a little bit to search it on my computer, but I can share that again. And I think from a like a messaging perspective, like you guys as individual agents, like think about when you've bought something because of how you're marketed to. It's typically not one thing in an echo, like one thing happening, and then you're off to go and make action on that. This is consistent messaging that you need to like plan on crafting for the next 120 days. Through the end of the year, like regular videos, dialing that language, thinking about here's what's to come, here's informational, put your plan together. I think that plan together language helps people connect the dots of, I'm not going to be pushy, but we're going to have a set of actions to take to help you get where you want to go over the next 2 years. That's how, and that right now in this market where everyone's aiming versus firing, that's how you start to get a hold of those people.
Well, I think a couple of things. I think a good thing for the next 60, 90, 120 days, probably up until Christmas, is the credit card debt in America is out of control, like historically out of control. And I think, I'm just speaking to, there's a lot of credit cards that are 20+% interest. I mean, if you've got, I don't know, $10,000, that's a substantial payment every month. So I think those are some issues you can hit on with your sphere is to go, hey man, I've been there. I mean, like I just had a couple of deals closed where people had major credit card stuff going on and, a substantial, I mean, like somebody had $1,500 a month and I'm thinking like, wow.
That's a
You can buy a lot of house for $1,500 a month.
And so I'm just saying, like, I think those conversations need to be had to be like, hey, we've all been through a global pandemic. We've all had a rough ride. We've experienced inflation. What does your overall debt look like? Because maybe, in September, October, November, December, we can be, selling your home for a decent amount, getting you into a home for 3 to 5% below list, 7%. But again, your house payment's going to go up $1,500 a month, but your debt is going to drop $2,500.
Yeah.
So it's a win. So you're upgrading and you're stabilizing your financial portfolio. And I don't know. That's just sort of conversations I think that need to be
That's
had.
great. That's a really good thought. Do y'all, so in conversations like this, we can kind of hang out in idea land. One thing I like to do is with stuff like this, throw stuff on the whiteboard. Like, here's conversation topics. Would that be helpful? Or y'all like, hey, no, we got this. We know what to do. No, he's gone.
They have some guys up here in Virginia.
Do they look rough and tough?
That's where Jimmy said to know.
I always have to ask that question.
Yeah.
Does he owe money?
He was here. I don't know if he's in the back or not. Okay, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, Jim.
Well, I think a really great thing to do right now would be, and I don't know, because I would want your input for me personally, but to put together some type of letter or something like that to mail out to my sphere that would sort of not necessarily pull comps, but give them a range of like, if you sold right now, here's what it would maybe look like.
Okay.
And then
You have an
follow
answer
up
for
with a
this.
letter just to say, hey.
Well, that's what we did in our farming, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we
You
should
do some
come.
teaching.
Oh gosh, no.
So, but that's like that's really easy to execute. Surprisingly, no, you're not going to do it to 2,000 people, but a sphere of 250 over
Right.
2 weeks, you can have really impactful touch points.
Because I mean, that was sort of, my struggle, May, June, when I sat down with you with like a list of people. And I mean, like it would have been, if the market wasn't what it was and rates weren't what they were, I would have had a tremendously successful summer with the conversations and the, well, can you look at this house, and these are, close people in my sphere. So I don't mind showing a house or meeting or talking about hypotheticals or looking at their houses, but it would have been really great. But again, they're all sitting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think, just like putting together like some great data and being like, look, here's the range your house would sell at. I don't know what your financial portfolio looks like. I don't know if you accumulate credit card debt or you want to trade a new car or you want to whatever, invest in a, whatever. I just, and kind of put that out there because I feel like I have, like Danielle was saying, I have a group of clients that are very educated and smart and they think, but if I'll put that data in front of them and present that, that's going to start a lot of conversation.
And now is the time to have those conversations.
Yeah.
In August, because now everybody's going back to school, but what a great time to send an email and send a letter and say the same thing and give them two ways of looking at it and go, hey, she sent me an email and I didn't have time to look at it, but she sent me a piece of mail. Type it out, write your name on every one of them, and say this is the things that we can be talking about because what is coming is going to be completely different from everything that we've been through before.
And I just think really posing ourselves as professionals with great data and not water slides and bikinis.
And we were talking yesterday in our meeting, Jimmy.
Don't point at me. That with no context. That is not a me thing, guys. This is another brokerage. I pitched them on like, what would be great for 6th Ave? Wire slides and bikinis.
No, I was just laughing because there is a real estate group and broker out in Parker County, and I know a lot of their agents, and we've had conversations because they do have some good agents about agent attraction. And so we're laughing because all week this broker threw like an agent party at her house in a pool and rented water slides. Well, it has been nothing but like, I mean, I'm friends with all of them, so I have seen this come across my feed. Nothing but like drinking. The broker,
Yeah, like frat party, yeah.
Entire, like,
Seriously,
every
yeah.
one of her agents published this TikTok video of her sliding drunk, bouncing out, and being like, I mean, just
Flailing
She
everywhere.
looked like she was passed out.
Yeah.
So I sent it to Karen. I'll send it to you.
Please send it to me.
I was like, guess we need to step it up. And I was like, I'm out.
That's not the 655.
No.
That's the thing.
I'm like, what? Yeah. So I think this is a great time to really pack a punch as professionals
Yes.
with data and
Jimmy was saying yesterday in our leadership meeting that what has worked, some of the indicators that they're seeing through storytelling, that Jamie is telling them, and Sage is telling them, the things that we have done for years as realtors, and people got sick of all the data that we had. Now they want it.
Yeah.
They want the bar graphs. They want to see those numbers more so than they ever have in the past, because we've gotten to that time in our lives.
yeah.
Especially the people that own homes and that want to buy homes, they can actually see those things with, how do I put this? What I heard him say was where we've been internet wise, when the internet and everybody, so much data coming at them, they didn't want to see bar graphs and stuff. They wanted to see stories. They wanted to see human. But now we have the ability, especially with this brokerage, to do both.
Yeah.
Right.
We can tell a story and show the graph.
Yeah.
And make sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where, and everybody's felt this push is going back to your basics. Go back to hosting open houses. Like, you don't grow past your open houses and your fundamentals of real estate. Keeping in touch with your VIPs, keeping your ear to the ground to understand what's going on. Where for 2.5 years, leads are coming to you. And because usually, and I think for anybody who benefited from that, that's not hey, I took an action on Monday and it paid off Friday. That's the body of work that you had done, that you had sowed and reaping. And that's this season. Like, if to go back up 30,000 foot, we are in a sowing season. So do not expect results today. You might luck out and get some leads. I say luck out. It might pay off in the short term through posting or through those contacts. And you might surprise yourself. But the fact is like, it's going to be exponential reaping down the line based on what you do over the next 90 days, really 120 days. But that starts, you're not going to luck into that. You're going to intentional yourself into that, like creating time, sitting those thoughts and hey, this is what we need. This is what we need. And we talk about this a lot. Sit down, give yourself an hour to word vomit, and then come back to that later in the day, and then come back to that tomorrow. Because we can all have ideas, but then it's execution phase is where we start getting into. 100 Days of Greatness, Pathway to Mastery is going to be significantly helpful. But I think us as a brokerage being unified in, okay, how do we take our time together, share ideas, and make some progress towards execution, whether that be through developing language, developing like common storylines to share, that sort of stuff, so that you guys as agents can be empowered to go and do that work. That's I think the trajectory that we want to take us on over the next, from here through the end of the year, right?
Well, I know we've specifically talked about this just with our transition into 6 app. Like, I feel like this is the best opportunity for us to grow here.
Yeah.
That's better, faster, because we have this little bit of lull,
Yeah.
Unfortunately in business, but it's been fortunate for us that this has been the time of transition.
I mean,
I
I think there's just a lot of things, and I think we've discussed a lot of ideas that, one, I think it's natural. It happens. You fall out of contact with a lot of people that you do business with. I mean, you may send them an email, you may send them a couple of things a year, but you're not having real conversations. So one of the things that like we've been talking about is like me, and I was telling Brian briefly about it last week, is I am going to put together these home maintenance binders.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody I've ever worked with, like, I'm going to go deliver them to the door.
Yep.
And it's kind of silly because I just stumbled upon it because of a transaction that I did, and I was like, oh, if my client wouldn't have been so efficient and his documentation. Like this would have been a nightmare.
Yep.
But because it was such a blessing that he had it and we were able to negotiate, $17,000 worth of repairs, came to zero. And so I'm kind of like, wow, but that is, I think, just trying to reintroduce yourself and expand your business. But I try to come up with creative ways that like I can kind of slide back into people's lives, because you do. I mean, they're great people, and we had great transactions, whatever. It's just they've gone in different directions, and we don't chat. And so trying to come up with ways that you can confidently not just feel salesy. So that's what we've been.
It always feels like a breakup. That's why it's so like fun. I'm like, we're gonna be BFFs, and when we close this transaction, it's almost gonna feel like a breakup. I'm still gonna be in contact with you. I'll still be here for you, but we won't be.
I think the hardest part there is consistency, and I think thematic consistency.
I think a great probably thing, because I actually have it on a list. I know.
She got a new notebook.
I did. Check them out.
Hey, I ordered one.
But I think a great thing right now would probably be to brisk the top pretty quickly of time management and what your week looks like as an agent. Because for me, I know like in 3 weeks, my schedule is going to look very different. Like I have 3 kids at home now that are just wrecking. They eat everything. I'm just like, I love them so much, but they need some structure. And we've been in summer workout, basketball camps and basketball leagues and all that, but it's not enough. So I know like in 3 weeks, I'm available from 7:30 to 4 every day.
Yeah.
So that looks great. So that's what we were talking about, really hammering out, like sitting down every Wednesday morning at 9:30 to 10 before we start this meeting and writing note cards.
Yep.
Like, and almost like it's an accountability thing. Like you show up. Let's write 5. Bring your stamps, bring your envelopes, bring your business cards, write 5. Let's all go put them in the mail.
Yeah, after summer, I feel like structure,
Yeah.
I would benefit from that too.
Yeah.
Like just just seeing what everyone else does and how they structure their day to, be successful.
And we've even done it before where like when we've done pop buys, and we've not done a lot of pop buys in the last couple of years, but like we've split them up. Like Holly and I have done the same pop buys. We've bought stuff in bulk. We've split them up. We've put them together. And then I've been like, okay, I'll do everybody to the south. So give me your list of people that need to be done to the south. I'll drop them off, whatever. And like she would go to the north. I mean, she'd go across, Denton and Decatur and Argyle and drop off wherever we've done business, just to get those touches in. So if we need to kind of move in those directions to kind of help each other, I think, maybe we should put something on the calendar once a week just to be like, hey, let's take an hour. I think one content, I think that would be highly beneficial to sit down. What?
I'm getting very upset because I unfortunately will also in 3 weeks have a very different life.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Send us your business cards. We'll write you note cards.
We had for a long time, Danielle, Angela, and some prior agents they'd meet weekly for 2.5, 3 hours and grind it out kind of together. And they did a great job of that and reap the benefits of it. And kind of
well, and that's honestly what I was gonna say is, this conversation is reminding me really of my conversation that I had with myself last year, knowing that I was going to be out, where I had literally one of my worst years in real estate, but I worked the hardest I've probably ever worked. And then this year am on track, despite being pregnant, to have my biggest year. And so that's why I'm like, I'm joking in saying that, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I don't want to, can I just send you my baby and not my business cards and work, and y'all just take care of Remington because it's driving me nuts not being able to plan to go into this season. So I love that y'all are doing this.
Well, and that's something that Tanner and I have been discussing, where we've got office hours on the calendar for the rest of the fall. I think we're going to turn those into just masterminds. Every Wednesday, second and fourth Wednesdays of the month will be just mastermind. Come up here, here's a topic,
Yeah.
idea of, Tanner brings in an idea, here's the mastermind, and we go where it goes. This is what we're doing today. And then one time you bring in an idea, and you bring in an idea, and everybody brings something in. Let's work it out. Let's figure this out together. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's our culture. That's who we want to be.
That's right.
Yeah, I would appreciate that because I love being collaborative and like bouncing ideas off people and just seeing what they're doing, and especially being newer. I think that would be super helpful.
Yeah, agreed. We're kind of running down time. What I want to do next week, I mean, I've got a ton of thoughts on how you structure the messaging, just like story brand. I don't know if you finished the book yet, but like using the framework. No, I have not.
I'm a little busy.
Yeah. Like using that story framework to set up the problem, add in the solution, and have consistency over time. A lot of stuff we worked through in the farming class for creating campaigns. So that you guys don't have to go and create it on your own. But the trouble is like, and just like in that class, I'm not going to give you something.
Right.
Like you have to put your skin in the game, and you have of time and effort, and your voice too on top of that. And now we have ChatGPT and stuff, so it can cut down the time on it. But the fact is like you have to be invested in the strategic input and the outcome that you want to achieve. And we fortunately just coming off of the heels of like an 8-week class that we did, where it's all pretty fresh. It's fresh for about half of us. So that's something we can talk about next week. At least whiteboard out and give you some stuff to like, okay, this week I'm going to solve this problem in my work time, and start thinking about it.
And I think we'll get some of that. I know everybody that takes 100 Days to Greatness, they will get that type of homework. I think Pathway to Mastery, I would
assume.
I'm sorry?
I would assume it would.
Yeah, we're going to have some homework.
Yeah.
Because the Pathway to Mastery is going to be more about the theory behind what you're doing and delving very deep. It's going to be a weekly mastermind for 2 hours every Wednesday or Tuesday for Pathway. But the people that are lucky enough to be taking 100 Days to Greatness, it's going to be such a great course to get everybody into this next season that we're that's coming
going into.
By the way, are you going to be sending a link out to pay for the
Pathway? So the deal with Pathway is they've got a special starting next Tuesday.
Okay.
Which it drops it down to like $2.99.
Okay. I thought that's what you said.
Yeah.
Like, I hadn't seen anything.
No. And so I've got the list. I need to get with Buffini and get them the list, and they're going to go ahead and give us the discount now.
Okay.
And then I'll get everybody a link to go pay. We'll get our books. I've got 3 people. Mina, thank you for signing up for 100 Days to Greatness. Brian and Andrew have signed up.
Good.
There's more people that I want to take it. I think that it'll revolutionize the way you do stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I've got 7 people that took it in the spring are going to audit it for the fall. They want to go back through and hear some of those lessons again, which we all know as realtors, we never get the first time.
Yeah.
So great stuff there.
Hopefully this was helpful.
I'm sorry?
Hopefully this was helpful. I mumbled. Sorry.
Sure.
Keep like chugging along, but take that mindset of that, like, this planting, sowing, and reaping.
Yeah, I like what Tasha said about like put together a plan for when you are ready to sell. Of just because people forget like about the deferred maintenance or how much it costs as a seller as well. And so kind of like, again, preparing them for that, even if it is 6 months to a year. I mean, it's never too early to start saving your money, paying off your debt, making repairs, getting your home ready. So I think that would be like really beneficial to send out to like my sphere and stuff.
Sweet.
And I also want to just kind of not play devil's advocate with what Tanner said about like the consistency, because like be consistent. That's all. That said, even at the beginning of the year when I was doing 100 Days to Greatness, the few pop buys that I did and the few mailers that I did, honestly, like people reposted it on Instagram, people called me. Like there is value in just like, if you can write one thing down from today and then actually just go do it, it will more than likely at least get you conversation started. And so I wrote down 3 things that I want to do, before the baby gets here, that they're things that if I get leads from, I can do them from home. And so just to encourage all that, like, no, I'm probably not going to go do a bunch of touch points and like drop bys, but I can start my Facebook ads again, asking people if they want their home value. I got so many responses from that, like, and it took me 10 minutes. So just encourage y'all to pick the low hanging fruit, so to speak.
That's great. I think that's a great reminder, Danielle. Yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the massive idea of climbing a mountain, right? But like climbing a mountain is just taking a bunch of steps after each other. Like that's where that consistency piece. That's where Danielle's saying, "Hey, just take the first step. Just go and do the first pop by. Let that momentum happen."
And I think it's just, and you know, I'm a super dork. I watch a lot of social media pages and forums with real estate, and I probably have real estate friends all over. I mean, some that are outside of the U.S., so I kind of see lots of different markets and lots of different chatter, so a huge conversation that's been going on my page, and I can't remember, maybe it was that Leslie that I told you to follow or whatever, is they're saying like, oh my God, like all these experienced top producing agents are out doing open houses right now. And they're like, you better be listening.
Yep.
Like, because now it's going back to step one and doing those things. And those are, I mean, open houses are fairly cheap ways to market yourself. I mean, not only are you out there doing something and meeting people, but you get to share the social media content. Because I can tell you, there's a lot of agents I know around me that have gotten their license in the last 3, 4, 5 years, and they're doing nothing. Their Facebooks are silent. Mm-hmm. And it does not take anything to jump on or grab a market statistic or put it on your story. I mean, it's kind of funny because I can put something on Facebook and get 2 comments. I can put it on my story and there's hundreds of people. Yeah. So I'm like, I see you watching me.
Yeah. You know, one thing I wanted to offer about last commercial break for 100 Days to Greatness. If you know somebody that you're thinking of recruiting or asking to come be a member or to join us, they are welcome to join 100 Days to Greatness. They do not have to be a 6th Ave agent to join that class. They can come be with us and just hang out.
Yeah, that's Rachel.
I'm fine with that. Being a 6th Ave agent is not a prerequisite to taking this class with us.
Yeah.
I will open the doors to anybody that wants to do it. So just put that on your socials. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? How do you want them to? Do I ask them to call you?
Yeah, just have them send me a text, and I'll send them a link to go pay for the class. Now they don't get the benefit that you do as a 100 Days to Greatness member here, where you get your money back. We're not giving them money back. Right. Unless they join.
Okay.
And they can't eat. Yeah. They have to watch us eat.
And they can't eat. No eating.
She's thinking of switching, so I don't. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. You can put it out on your social media stuff to your other agent friends and just say, hey, we're offering this class to anybody. If that
we make it a nice pretty little flyer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have a graphic from 100 Days to Greatness?
No,
yeah.
Just you make one.
Yeah, we got stuff.
Okay, will you send, because I have 2 agents that I'm gonna put it out there.
Okay.
But I want to come over here.
Don't be afraid, because with that, my encouragement, 100 Days to Greatness means nothing, right? Just those words. Don't be afraid to explain it in anything that you put out there, or like if you're doing a video story, 100 Days of Greatness, here's what it is. Industry leading coach Brian Buffini's 100-day, to like mastermind to success. Yeah. Connect those dots for people. Yeah. Because and now they can go and Google, but just passing out the 100 Days of Greatness stuff, like don't expect much feedback.
Yeah, if you can send us like an actual graphic from there, I can go pull it, but if you have it. Yeah. By the way, Tasha noticed my sophisticated verbiage on my video today. She's like, is that from the AI? And I'm like, yeah, I was like, that was.
Wow, I'm like, you're really put together. I'm a little like, okay.
I'll put a message on Slack on the guides channel.
Yeah.
With this website that Brian has put out. I'll do it right now.
Okay.
We have lunch out there from
Yay.
McKnight, from Jason's Deli today. We can go ahead and start eating whenever you guys want to. They will be here. I told them to be here at 11:30 with the class. It's wheelchair safety, and I'm glad that there are 4 of you ladies here because I really want things that are happening in our community. I don't know if y'all saw that lady that disappeared
Teller,
from
yeah.
Teller area.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Mom, wife.
Was she a realtor?
No, she was
and she was just out like academy.
No, she
real
went to
estate
go.
related.
She went to go. She D.R. Horton.
Yeah, Horton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went to go return a backpack and go to academy,
Yeah.
and like the last, like she was walking out her door, like on her ring. That's where they saw her.
And she hasn't been seen in like,
So she's
4 days,
friends. She's
right?
good friends with one of my friends.
Yeah, I have several friends that know her.
So
Yeah.
while you didn't read those.
Yeah. That's too funny because did an open house on Sunday and it's a vacant home or whatever. And we typically either do it together or I have a window. This is the first one I've done like by myself. And it wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh, by myself, but I mean, I carried
It's
because,
uncomfortable, yeah.
and I carried it on me. And like this one guy came in, he didn't give me any kind of weirdness or anything, but I'm like, I was super aware because of all the craziness.
Yeah.
And I stayed in the hallway, like the main hallway where the front door was, or the back door, and while he did his thing, because
yeah, you just don't know.
you just
Yeah.
don't know.
Or you just step outside.
Maria Ventura had a homeless guy in an open house she did a couple weeks ago.
Oh my god.
So she's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just never know.
I got my alcohol license.
Yeah, I did the LTC. Yeah,
Okay.
I carry when I don't.
I have an unknown.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Just saying.
Well, and
It's,
that's
it's a panhandle thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
when I showed
Hey,
Hey,
Jimmy's buddies are the ones I got my license from. That's where we put her. I was like, I got a license. Jimmy's like, yeah. I'm like, Chancey Pogue's like, you know, Chancey Pogue. I'm like, yeah.
Jimmy knows everybody in
He
it.
does.
yeah, he does.
All right. Well,
Stop the recording first. We're gonna take off for now. We'll be back on Google Meet at 11:30 here in a few minutes.
Huh?
Upper left hand
Creating
corner.
my thing.
There you go, right there.
Go on.